Well, good afternoon, guys. I am out here on my property. I'm looking for a new semi-permanent camp spot. I want to set up a bushcraft camp from scratch, so to speak. And I've been wandering around for a while, and it is getting on towards lunchtime. I've got a new stove and a pot combo from Olicamp that I'd like to show off to you guys. I've been using it for about 8 weeks, something like that, and it has been incredibly handy. So hang around and we'll go over it together. Welcome back, folks. Thank you very much for being here today. I do appreciate your time very much. Well, I think I have found my bushcraft camp spot, so to speak. You'll see more of that in future videos. It's down just behind my shoulder here. I'll show you some snippets of the pictures down the hill right about here. But anyway, the stove I want to talk to you about today, it is the Olicamp Kenetic. This is the package it comes in. It comes in a protective hard plastic case. Has a pretty small footprint to it. Just real quick on the specs of this thing. The weight of it is 1.7 ounces, or for you European folks, it's 48 grams. The size is 3 inches by 2.7 inches. The output is 9,620 BTUs. So just shy of 10,000 BTUs, which one thing just to keep in mind there, your average AC window unit for your home, that puts out about 10 to 12,000 BTUs worth of energy. So this thing's pumping out a lot of energy. This is the Olicamp XTS pot. As you can see down here, it has a heat exchanger, which really increases the efficiency on this. As you can see, it's a pretty small package. This is made out of titanium, so it is extremely light. It's 48 grams or 1.7 ounces. It's really simple, doesn't get complicated, it just works. As far as fuel goes, the Kenetic will run off a propane, butane, or a mix. You can find those canisters in Walmart, hardware stores, stuff like that. But Olicamp does also offer their own proprietary 4-season mix. I don't know what that mixture is. Like I said, it's proprietary. It does come in a smaller canister size of 3.5 ounces, a larger size, which nests perfectly in the XTS pot. Notice I have it covered in a paper towel down here. I'll go over why here in just a couple minutes. It does have a larger size of 8.1 ounces. Now here's the valve that comes with the stove. Obviously, once you put it on a canister, you're stuck. But between the Kenetic and the valve here, it is extremely simple. Simple means less to go wrong and less to mess up, less to break. Now, as you can see, this stove is well used. I'm going to throw in some video I've done here during my testing. This sucker gets glowing red hot, but as you can see here, while it's nice and cool, it is still stout, no damage, just slight discoloration that you normally get from titanium. As far as fuel efficiency goes, I have been using this single canister for about 6 weeks. I used it all during Blade Show to make coffee for 4 guys every morning for 5 days. I've used it for several Mountain House type meals, lots of hot chocolate for my kids, even some ramen here and there. So the fuel efficiency on this, it does pump out the power, but also at the same time it is fuel efficient. What makes the difference as far as fuel efficiency goes, in my opinion, is this heat exchanger. Let's get a close-up of this. There are other companies on the market that have heat exchangers on the bottom of their pot. I'm not doing a comparison, but I do want to point out just how good this heat exchanger is. What it does, as the flame comes up the center, it spreads it out through those fins and it acts like a heat sink. The heat absorbs in these fins and then gets redirected, kind of absorbs into the bottom of the pot. So it makes use of all the available heat from that flame from the stove, whereas if you don't have a heat exchanger, like on this well-used LT pot, the flames wrap up around the side. And like I said, I have some night shots of this I'm going to throw in here somewhere where you can actually see the flames wrapping up around the side. And just to kind of point out, I have used this pot in the fire countless times and I have never melted my lid. Whereas with this Kenetic, I actually started to melt this silicone lid. So the heat just really wraps around the outside of the pot. You would think right off the top of your head, with the heat wrapping around the outside of the pot, that it would be helping because the heat would be wrapping around the entirety of the pot. Well, what that does is it does help. It does increase the efficiency of the pot by itself a little bit, but it allows the heat to escape going this direction and not only get absorbed into the pot. Whereas with the heat exchanger, most of that heat energy gets directed into the pot itself. As far as the specs go on this XTS pot, it is 6.7 ounces. It is anodized aluminum, and it does have graduated markings on the inside. Probably can't see that, but it goes from 8, 16, 24, and 32 ounces. Now I will point out that with this size fuel canister, you can't nest it down in here. Even with the stove off, it still comes up over the lip here. Whereas if you do use the smaller type of fuel canister, you can nest both the stove and the fuel canister inside the XTS pot itself. The price point on this XTS pot by itself is $29.95. On the stove itself, it is $49.95, or you can get a package deal together for $69.95. I'll put all the relevant links in the description of this video. But anyway, let's make some food, guys. The LT pot without the heat exchanger, it boiled 16 ounces of water in just over 3 minutes. and the XTS with the heat exchanger boiled it in just over 2 minutes. So that heat exchanger does add quite a bit of efficiency. What are we having today? We're having some beef stroganoff with noodles, Mountain House. Now I know someone in the back row is raising their hand going, "Hey Joe, I know you don't like Mountain House. Why are you doing that?" Well, because I've got it on hand and I'm going to fix it. How's that, you might add? It's already got plenty of salt, so I don't have to worry about that. But I have some homemade beef jerky and some Worcestershire sauce, however you pronounce that. That'll fix this right up. Add in some Worcestershire sauce. A little bit more. As you can see, it's taken all of about less than 2 minutes really to come up to temperature. As you can see, the heat is extremely controllable. That is on about as low as you can get. But you can crank it right back up. I mean, it's almost instantaneous temperature adjustment. While our beef's rehydrating, let me kind of talk about the stove just a little bit. Like I said, I've been using it for 6 to 8 weeks, and the main thing that I found out about the stove, it is insanely convenient. You know, I love cooking in the woods. You guys know that I love to cook, period, but I love cooking in the woods. I love cooking over an open fire. But the fact of the matter is, it's 95 degrees out here right now. The humidity is about 90%. I have things I need to do. You know, I'm running around looking for bushcraft camp. You know, I don't want to take the time to sit there, build a fire, spend 30-35 minutes prepping for a long-lasting fire, long enough to cook over, etc., etc. Whereas I can just pull this out of my pack, put it together, and have boiled water in under 5 minutes. The simple convenience of this makes this stove well worth every single penny that one would spend on it, in my opinion. And talking about convenience, at Blade Show, Joe Honeycutt from Black Feather Knives, Larry Roberts, and Gary from C2G Fab and I all camped out just side of Atlanta for Blade Show 2016. We camped for 5 days, 4 nights, and this made coffee for us every morning. We crawled out of our hammocks all sleepy-eyed, needing to get on the road to get back to Blade Show because we had a 45-minute drive to actually hit the show from where we were camping. So it made it incredibly easy, very simple, just to, you know, make a couple cups of coffee, wake us up, and then hit the road. So the fact of the matter is, at least for me, this stove is quick, simple, and extremely convenient. Honestly, guys, it has become a staple part of my kit. And hopefully not burn myself. Let's test out my handiwork here. It's been about 15 minutes or so. Still pretty hot though, I'll tell you that. Now that's beef stroganoff. That Worcestershire sauce, however you pronounce it, it fixes it right up. Well folks, that pretty much does it on the Olicamp Kenetic stove and the XTS pot as well. They make a great pair. I mean, they are just extremely convenient together. They do work well separately, but you add that heat exchanger into the LT style pot to make it the XTS. You get the Kenetic that just fits perfectly up in that heat exchanger. It just makes for a great pair. They're extremely convenient, very powerful. They get the job done, and they're also fuel efficient at the same point in time. Anyway folks, no need to ramble on. You guys know I like the stove. I do highly recommend it. As I said before, all the relevant links will be in the description of this video, but thank you very much for being here today, guys. I do appreciate your time very much. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up for me. I would appreciate it very much. Also, if you have not done so yet, there's a subscribe button right down here. Would you go ahead and make use of that if you enjoy content such as this? Also, guys, hit up the comment section. Let me know what you think of this stove, maybe stoves that you like to carry. Anyway, thanks again for being here today, and I will see you next time. You guys have a great day.